Back when I was growing up and I was in college, creepypastas were making their way around what is the internet. And in college, when I was getting my English degree, I was sitting in a lot of these lectures, bored out of my mind, and I would just look up scary stories on the iPhone or the BlackBerry. I think I had a BlackBerry back then. And eventually I ran into what is the wiki thread, or I think it was just a whole thread of just creepypastas. Now, if y'all don't know what creepypastas are, it's literally stories, scary stories made popular through the internet by copying and pasting them and just spreading them out. I read all the original OG creepypastas. Jeff the Killer, Ben Drowns, Smile Dog, Slenderman, and there's so many more. But there was one creepypasta that really scared me and shook me, and still to this day really just irks me, and that is The Gateway to the Mind. What is up, everybody? My name is Leo. I am your spooky host on this channel. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this YouTube channel. For all the month, throughout the whole month of October, we're gonna be dropping crazy, creepy, cool content. So if you like this stuff, just subscribe and just have fun. Tell your friends about it. We're gonna have a creepy good time. That's what we're gonna have. We're gonna have a creepy good time. And while you're at it, go grab some snacks, go grab some drinks, and let's just have a good time. Yeah. Sponsor me, Vitamin Water. Sponsor us, Vitamin Water. That's the sponsor for today. Normally I drink coffee or other drinks, but today is Vitamin Water. The Gateway to the Mind. What a freaking story. Now, I'll give you guys some context before I go into the story. I'm a man of faith. I grew up in church. I believe in faith. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. I believe that God is the greatest symbol of love, the greatest symbol of faith, and the greatest symbol of hope, right? So just keep that in mind as I tell you the story. So the Gateway to the Mind is, it's about a group of scientists. Now, these scientists believe that they know how to contact God. They know how to talk to God. They knew a way how they were able to access His glory and talk to God. First of all, that sounds like an impossible mission. Just saying. Kind of crazy. But they wanted to talk to God, and that was the thing. They wanted to reach God. So they found out that by removing the nervous system from a human body, you'll be able to contact God. You'll be able to talk to God by removing the nervous system. I do want to talk about this, and kind of your discretion is advised. It's going to be kind of like a gory episode. In order to get to the nervous system, you have to remove, first of all, the skin, the muscle, some ligaments, tendons, and then you get to the nervous system. And, I don't know if y'all ever had root canals or, toothaches. Every time they touch the nerve, it hurts like a mother effer. So imagine you getting your nervous system removed. That is really painful. It's very uneasy, and it just gives me chills every time I talk about it. But apparently, according to the scientists, that's the way you would get to God. So they just needed to find somebody that was willing to go through all this stuff to talk to God. Go through this experiment to get everything removed, just literally be bones and some skin, and okay, that's how you talk to God. So there was this man they found that was pretty much, you can say, homeless, didn't really have anything worth living for, you know what I mean? And they, and he might be the first man to talk to God, literally. So he was like, all right, I'm on board. So they literally put this man in a room, all right? And then the scientists just went at work. They started removing his skin, his muscle, his flesh. I can imagine the tearing sounds and all this stuff. Yo, that is painful. I've gotten cuts. I've had flesh wounds before. It hurts like a mother effer, let alone piercing through your muscle and ligaments and getting to the nervous system. Yeah, that's painful. But the doctors just went at it. They started cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting. I don't know if this patient was asleep. I'm guessing they had to put him to sleep or something like that, because out of, pain, he might have gone into shock and maybe passed out or died, which is another thing about the story. Is like, I think this person would have died almost within the first couple of minutes of having everything removed from his body. But anyways, we progress. Came to the point where the scientists reached the nervous system. They removed the nervous system from this man. Nothing happened. After a couple of days, the scientists were about to throw in the towel. They're like, hey, nothing happened. I guess this is it. I think our hypothesis was wrong. Then all of a sudden, this man that decided to be the test subject, just opens his eyes or just gets up, and he's like, hey, I can hear people. I can hear spirits. I can hear something. And the doctors were like, he's going mad. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And all of a sudden, this man started naming past relatives that have passed away from the scientists. Like, oh, I can hear your grandma. I can hear your mom. She's saying this and this and that. Accurate things that the scientists were like, oh my gosh, this guy's actually talking to our past loved ones. And all of a sudden, there was this moment of hope, like saying, oh my gosh, he's talking to somebody. He's really going beyond what is our realm. He's going beyond dimensions. He's talking to the dead. He's talking to the spirit world. So after a couple of minutes, you can say everything was like, oh, he's gonna talk to God. He's gonna talk to God. And within an instant, this man started to scream, started to cry, started to shake violently, just screaming and screaming and screaming and kind of covering ears and screaming, telling to stop. Tell him to stop. I can't hear this anymore. I can't do this anymore. And the scientists were like, what the hell's going on? He was just talking to our loved ones. Why is he screaming now? What's going on? And this one went on for days, to the point that the patient just blew out his vocal cords. He cried so much that he started to dehydrate, and they had to give him IV and liquid fluids so he wouldn't just literally die. As a matter of fact, I don't know how he's not dead from all the blood and all the pain. You know, this is where these creepypastas kind of get loopholes, or they just kind of get weird because of like, okay, somebody would have died by this point. But anyways, I progressed. This is still my favorite creepypasta. The man just started crying, just crying, weeping, shouting, screaming bloody murder, screaming pain, screaming all these things. And the scientists were so worried, they didn't know what was going on. But all of a sudden, the man just dropped dead, flatlined in the machines, dead. The scientists were like, well, I guess this is it. I guess we just tortured a man without knowing what was happening. Let's just you know, discard of his body. Let's clean up and let's just go home. As the scientists were approaching the body, the man just stood up, looked at the scientist dead in the eyes, and said this:
I have spoken with God, and God has abandoned us.
That is very strong. That is a very strong statement. And that is where this creepypasta ruined me, because God, in a lot of beliefs, and most beliefs, God is a symbol of hope, faith, and love. And all of a sudden, you find out that God has abandoned us. That is the saddest moment I would ever live, or that's the saddest moment in our history or in people's lives, if they're people of faith. Like literally, it ruins you, it destroys you. And I remember I was in college when I read this story, and I think I even YouTubed some of these stories, and I think Tots, if I'm not mistaken, is the YouTube channel I talked about this. If you're an OG YouTuber, you know what I'm talking about. And this creepypasta, this story just ruined me. It just made me sad, made me just overwhelmed, knowing that, man, what if God has abandoned us? What if God abandoned everybody? What if we're just really horrible people and God is like, I can't do this? Now that was the thought I had when I was 21, 20. I'm 31. This is like 10 years ago. The Gateway to the Mind is a very profound story, because in the Bible, there were moments where the people of Babylon made a tower to talk to God. And the Bible says that God confused the languages and they couldn't communicate. And so since they couldn't communicate, they couldn't build the last part of the tower to reach heaven, which is crazy that since the beginning of the time, we've been trying to see God, talk to God, and we just can't. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm not saying this is like, oh, God doesn't love us. No, I'm saying that there's just something above and beyond that we just cannot comprehend, that we do not understand. And this, I guess these scientists wanted to go into places that they were not meant to enter. They were not meant to go into. In the end of the day, the scientists did everything to seek and find the glory of God. But little did they know, God had abandoned them. Ooh, this is a very strong episode, but I hope you guys enjoyed this creepypasta. This is my favorite creepypasta of all time. I'm pretty sure there's other creepypastas that have come out throughout the years, but if we're talking about the OG creepypastas, this one is amazing. It's very strong. It is very deep. It's very sad, but it's such a statement. If y'all liked this episode, like this video, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Next week, we're gonna have a really cool episode where I went ghost hunting, or I went to explore abandoned tunnels in LA, and we ran into some really interesting stuff. So if you want to see that video, subscribe to this channel and just, put notifications on and get ready for that episode. With that being said, love you guys. Subscribe, like this video, and I'll see you guys in another episode of Spooky Story Time. Have a good night. Sleep tight. Bye.